Okay, hello there, and welcome to the next 10 on my top 100 favorite games of all time 2018 edition. And this one is one that I am fairly certain, if not pretty definite, that someone's statistically absolute favorite game is going to be in this top 10 here. We've got some absolute classics, like I said in the last episode, like some that will just... When you think of the console that it's on, that's the game that you immediately think of, sort of games. But we're going to start off this list with a bit of a controversial one, because you could make the argument that this is more of a demo, or not really a full game. Maybe you could be generous and call it an expansion or a DLC. Personally, because it came in a separate thing, I think it's its own game. But here we go. Number 70 is Kingdom Hearts Birth by... Oh god, I don't remember the name. Oh yeah. Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep 0.2. This is pretty much the game that showed off the brand new engine that Kingdom Hearts 3 was going to be released on. And pretty much was a big teaser for that game that we finally have a release date for. Yes! I became a big Kingdom Hearts fan just this year. None of the Kingdom Hearts games were on my top 100 in 2017. In fact, Kingdom Hearts is probably the reason a couple of these were knocked off. So there you go. Birth by Sleep 0.2, like I said, is a very short game, and you could consider it not a real Kingdom Hearts game. But I do. It's a different experience, and it is its own standalone thing. It takes place after Birth by Sleep and after Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, pretty much near the end of the timeline. Almost, even, it is a teaser for Kingdom Hearts 3, and it's also in the timeline right before Kingdom Hearts 3, pretty much. And because it's showing off this brand new engine, the Unreal 4 engine or whatever it is, my god, it looks amazing. I'd grown up with NES and N64, and I kind of stuck to that for the longest time. And then buying a PS4 and playing this, it was almost surreal to see graphics like this. And I mean, I really like the story. The main character Aqua is really kick-ass. The combat is so nice and smooth most of the time. There is this odd quirk that Kingdom Hearts can have sometimes that can be bullshit, but that's Kingdom Hearts for you. It is very short and very simplistic compared to other Kingdom Hearts games though, so it's kind of low on the list. Number 70. At number 69, and you know what, it's kind of fitting that this game is in the number 69 slot, because it is the House of the Dead Overkill, one of the smarmiest, grottiest, dirtiest, beautiful games you could get on the Wii. Very rarely did the Wii do MA, but I've got 3 MA games on my shelf there, so it was done. And I don't even have Mad World, so that's a 4th one. So, it existed, and the House of Dead Overkill is probably one of my favorite MA games on the Wii. You know what? It is my favorite MA game on the Wii. It was a perfect fit. The House of the Dead games were the arcade shooters, where in the arcade you pick up a gun and pew pew, you can shoot and all that. And on consoles, this kind of thing was hard to emulate. You couldn't really use a controller because you didn't get the same feel. Very Operation Wolf sort of thing, like how you have to use the controller to move around, but I don't know. Well, you could buy adapters, and you could buy light guns for your Sega. You can, don't know about the Dreamcast, but the Saturn for sure has a light gun in it. I know because I own a Sega Saturn light gun. So there you go. I know they exist. I have one, and you can use that. I used that for the original House of Dead, but the Wii was a match made in heaven. For once, the Wii remote and the motion controls were actually beneficial to a game. The House of Dead Overkill, you'd put the Wii remote into the gun slot, you'd get a gun peripheral like a pistol or the Wii Zapper, and then you could point at the screen and shoot just like you're in the arcade. And I loved that. The House of Dead Overkill was not the first game in the House of Dead series that was not released in the arcades. It was a purely home console sort of thing. So, you actually got like a story and stuff, and the story is just over the top. It is purposely over the top 70s grindhouse, and I adore it for that. It's so cheesy and over the top, can't help but be amazed. If you have a Wii, I can't recommend picking this game up enough. It is a short, fun, shoot-'em-up game that, you know, if you're not squeamish or easily offended, get it. It's probably cheap right now, actually, if you don't buy the big bundle edition that came with, like, the guns themselves. If you just have a Wii Zap lying around, just get the game on its own. It's probably really cheap now. Wii games, at the moment, pretty cheap in general. Number 68, we have Mario Party 4. The first Mario Party not to be on the Nintendo 64, but was on the GameCube. And I've heard most people say that, oh, Mario Party 4 wasn't really that good. It was sort of the transitional effect where they were sort of shaking off what they'd done in the N64 era, and they had sort of this very bland style, and they were getting into what they're going to do for Mario Party 5, 6, and 7. But in my opinion, Mario Party 4 hit a really good spot where it was all upgraded and nice and new for the GameCube, but it still had all the proper Mario Party solid mechanics that the Nintendo 64 ones had. It had great mini-games. The boards, you could say that they're bland in design, but I really enjoyed every single one of them, and I think the characters that presented the boards helped with that. Each board had a character presented, whether it's Boo or Koopa or Goomba or Shy Guy or Toad himself, and yeah, that was a great thing. And also, I think, was this the last one where you could actually play as Donkey Kong? Or could you play as DK in 5? I don't remember, but I think this was one of the last ones where you could play as Donkey Kong. So that was good. That you could actually play as DK. Of course, I think now you can play him in like 10 and the new one. I don't know. Donkey Kong's one of those weird ones where they made him a board event for some reason. It made no sense. And then Toad became playable in 8. I don't know what's going on anymore, Mario Party! But I feel like this one hit a very nice sweet spot. And the story mode was really nice as well. It took Mario Party 3's idea of having a actual proper story mode, and in my opinion was better than Mario Party 3's, if only for the fact that they had better hardware to work with and more that they could do, and they'd learned everything from Mario Party 3. But yeah, definitely a great experience. Not much more to say. Number 67. Here comes a classic. Super Mario Bros. 3 on the NES. Some people say one of the best, if not the best, NES games of all time. It's definitely up there, obviously, because it's in my top, 70 favorite games. I didn't play this until I was in my sort of preteens. I played other Mario Brothers games a lot more, and then I played this one, and it was a lot of fun, definitely. I don't see the big hype of it being the best NES game, in existence to ever be made, but I'm not going to say that it's not, a really great game, because it is. It is a massively fun game. There's so much content in this, I almost said contact, there's so much content in this game. It's amazing. It's honestly amazing that it is on the NES. That there are so many worlds and levels and things like this. This is the first one that had the world system that you would see in Super Mario World, a console generation later. They were doing that on the NES. There's nothing that I could say that hasn't been said better and in more extensive detail by literally everyone else on YouTube. It's a classic. It's amazing. And it has to be someone's favorite game statistically. So, not much more to say. Proper, solid NES game. Definite recommendation, of course. Number 66, we have Pokemon Stadium 2. Now, the Pokemon Stadium games. Oh, yes. Back in the day, these were the only ways that you could see your Pokemon in 3D, as opposed to your little Game Boy screen. And wow, did they look good at the time. They still look kind of good now, actually. Of course, now we have, Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu is coming to the Switch, and the new one's coming out in 2019, and all those N64 models look bad and blocky. Sure, but think about being a kid really into Pokemon, and then all of a sudden, you can play it on your big screen, you can play it on your TV at home, and all the Pokemon are, like, coming out in 3D and, like, shooting all their attacks, because they didn't have, like, good attack animations back then. Generation 1 and 2 was still sort of the basic sort of thing. So when you saw the fire and the shooting out, and you saw them using surf, and the big wall of water was coming up, and you'd see confusion and all the animations and them falling back, it was amazing. You could verse all the gym leaders, you could transfer your Pokemon from your real games into the game, and then battle the gym leaders that way. I never did that as a kid. I always used Pokemon Rental. It was really hard to beat the game with Pokemon Rental, but you know, I did what I could. But a lot of the fun just came from the fact that you could have some mates around, rent whatever Pokemon you wanted from the game except Mew or Mewtwo. So any of the 149 Pokemon that you wanted, rent them out, check their moves, and then battle. No link cables, no second copy of the game, no second Game Boy needed. It didn't matter if your friends weren't really into Pokemon enough to buy their own Game Boys and Pokemon cartridges. All they need to do is sit at the couch and have one of your Nintendo 64 controllers, and there you go. 4 people were playing Pokemon together. It was really amazing, and they added a lot more in Pokemon Stadium 2. Of course, they added the Johto Pokemon, which obviously expanded that a lot. They added, the minigames. In Pokemon Stadium 2, there was so many minigames that were just really great. And I'll talk more about the minigames when I go into Pokemon Stadium 1, because, surprise, that's in here. But, yeah, and then just in Pokemon Stadium 2, when you beat the game, you're able to, like, go through it again and then actually have a chance to, like, get to Mewtwo and actually, like, unlock him in your game instead of having to, like, transfer him in from, like, Red or Blue or whatever. That was really amazing. I love the fact that you could do that in Stadium 2. I didn't play it as much as 1, but it was definitely one of those things where it was amazing, and well, nostalgic because the first one was definitely really great fun, because just having Kingdra go out there and just sweep everyone by riding that, it was amazing. I loved it. Number 65, Diddy Kong Racing. Yes, a lot of people love this game on the Nintendo 64, and I'm one of them. Wow. The idea of a racing game that was also an adventure game was a crazy concept at the time. Crash Bandicoot kind of incorporated into the PS2 era, and that was also a lot of fun. But a generation before, we had Diddy Kong Racing, which was... I remember playing like hundreds and thousands of hours on this. I couldn't really beat the bosses. They were very difficult, but just the main games of, like, you win, you get a balloon, and getting a balloon unlocks another track, and then you just keep unlocking tracks until you get to a boss, and, like, there are balloons hidden around, and you can unlock new worlds. Like, this is a racing game. What are we doing unlocking new worlds, fighting bosses, collecting coins, doing battles? Just the scope of the game for a racing game was astronomical, and if it wasn't for the weird sort of difficulty in the game, and the controls being a bit at times, I would definitely say that this would be better than Mario Kart 64, just because of the concept and how well it was executed. And of course, the character select, of course, you had Diddy Kong, but you also had, like, Banjo, and you had Conker in there, back when he was his cutesy little self, and not the drunk sex hound that he became later on, a couple of years later. But yeah, Diddy Kong Racing, again, that's not much I have to say. The fact that you could race with cars and boats and planes as well. You just fly around in a plane in the hub world. There was a hub world in a racing. I can't explain to you how grandiose this sort of idea was at the time. Rare did a bang up job, and of course, with Rare, the music was spot on. Hot Top Volcano, the music in that level, I think that's the most memorable for me. Just, what an amazing track. Go and Google that track, or YouTube it. It's so weird and amazing. It's great. Number 64, it's time for some more controversy. It's Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask 3D on the 3DS. And what I do with remakes on this list is that I don't put the originals on, which means that Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask on the 64 is not on the list because 3D is just a 3D remake of it on the 3DS. I know that this will be a controversial thing because the Nintendo 64 one, you know, the purists will say, oh, the 3D one is not as good as the 64 one. It gets a lot of things wrong. And, you know, your favorite console is the Nintendo 64. Glitch, what are you doing not putting the Nintendo 64 version on there? Well, while yes, the Nintendo 64 is my favorite console of all time and always will be, I can see when a remake is better, and I can see when a remake is worse. A remake is better with what they do in Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, where basically they keep the core game and they make the graphics actually better. The controls are just as tight, they add some stuff, and because on the 3DS it's portable, which is always a plus. And while the two versions are very similar, the 3D one just barely beats it out. If you want to talk about a bad port of a Nintendo 64 game, look no further than Super Mario 64 DS, where the graphics look even worse somehow, the controls are absolutely horrendous, and everything's bit crushed and terrible and crap, and yeah. That is a bad remake. This, Majora's Mask 3D, is a good remake. I like it, and, you know, it actually improved on a really great game. Of course, if I'm at home, I'll probably stick in the 64 one instead, but I will say the 3D one is better, and of course it's portable, which means I can take it anywhere I want. Of course, what I have to say about Majora's Mask itself, it's legendary. Sort of the graphics, like the sort of setting that it gives, the sort of dark, foreboding atmosphere is really, really nice. It's something that I can't really describe, but it's just something you didn't see much, and I really appreciate for that and respect what it did. The music is obviously amazing, and it's Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. Not much more to say. Number 63 is Pokken Tournament. The Wii U one, because as of doing this, I haven't actually bought and played the Switch one, which I know will be better and have new characters in it. So in 2019, this one will be replaced with the Switch version, but for now, since I haven't played the Switch version, it's the Wii U one. Pokken Tournament. Pokemon plus Tekken. I didn't know how this was going to work, honestly. I'm not a big fan of one-on-one fighting games. Side-scrolling beat-em-ups? Sure, I'll play the hell out of those. Simpsons game? Turtles in Time? Right on. One-on-one fighting games, though, not my cup of tea. I'm pretty bad at them, so I tend to stay away from them. But, massive Pokemon fan, so I thought I'll pick this up. And it was a lot of fun. Obviously, I'm still bad at the game, so I lose a lot, but I have a lot of enjoyment with this. There's actually a story mode in this where you can fight your way up in the ranks, and I love leaderboards and rankings and all that sort of stuff for me. I'm the kind of guy that loves staring at a spreadsheet, so I really appreciate that, and had a great story thing that you could progress through. Obviously, I couldn't beat it because I suck at fighting games, but I still had a lot of fun. Just trying out all the Pokemon, trying all the different moves, playing with friends. It's a really solid fighting game. And when I went to the Pokemon Nationals, they actually had a little thing off in the side where you could do Pokken tournaments as well as the main game, the main tournament, which was the game and the card game, the video game championships and the trading card game championships. They had a little fun Pokken championship thing you could do while waiting for your next match or whatever. So that was nice. Don't know if they'll do that now, but they definitely did it in, 2016 when I went to Nationals. So, yeah, there was that. Number 62, again, statistically, this has to be someone's favorite game. When you think of the GameCube, well, you probably think of Super Mario Sunshine, but I've already done that one, so think of the second game you go to. No, not Luigi's Mansion, the third game you go to. That's right, it's Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door. Only number 62? Whoa, what an outrage. But keep in mind, if it's in my top 100 list, that means I gotta actually like it, doesn't it? And I can't put everything at number 1. So, Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door. What a classic. What an absolute classic this game is. Paper Mario is one of my favorite RPG series, you know, up there with Pokemon and Kingdom Hearts and, well, I guess Superstar Saga, but that comes at a far fourth. And I think Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door got it really spot on. There's a lot to do in the game, a lot of great characters, a lot of great partners. Some of the humor in the game is great. Some of the stages, like the wrestling stage, was really unique and fun. There's a lot of challenge. There's it's basically everything you'd want out of an RPG with Mario. Not much to say other than they got this game spot on. I absolutely adore it, and it's a great RPG. Should you want to play one on the GameCube, definitely recommend it for sure. So what's going to wrap up this list? Well, at number 61, we have Kirby's Adventure Wii. This one's kind of funny. My friends and I were looking through the Wii's, it was the Wii Uzi shop, I think. And we were looking for a game to play because the game shop was closed and we couldn't think of a game to play. So we were looking through and we were looking for 4-player games and we saw Kirby's Adventure Wii. So we thought, why not? And we bought it. And, I mean, it's a Kirby side-scroller. A Kirby... I don't have to explain Kirby. You suck up enemies, you get their power, and you run around with their power beating up bad guys and bosses and other enemies. And now you can do that 4-player, which was the first time that we'd done that. We thought, oh, wow, this is... Well, at least I thought, wow, this is really cool. I really like this. And, of course, you could do it 1-player as well. And it was a really fun Kirby game. It kind of suffers from the new Super Mario Bros. Wii thing, where I feel like it was sort of the middle of the road. They weren't really trying as hard as they could. Some of the previous entries were a lot better, and just like in the Mario series, some of the newer Kirby games were a lot better. But this one was still really serviceable and really good for what it was, and I got a lot of enjoyment out of it. A lot of replayability, a lot of things to find, just like you would in a Kirby game. I mean, yeah, it is just the basic Kirby side-scroller, and I have a lot of fun with it. So, with that, we are getting so close to the top 50 of this list. Next episode's going to be the last one in the bottom 50, and I'm looking over the ones that are going to be in here now. There are a lot of good ones. It's weird. I think this list has a lot more that will be in people's favorites than the next list will. The next list, a lot of people are going to be going, oh, I remember that game. It's a pretty good game. I think there's going to be a lot of interesting ones in here. Ones that might be a bit, how could you put it that low? Or, how the hell do you put it that high? It's going to be one of the two. A lot of people are probably not going to think that these should be the middle of the road ones, let's just say. Some people are going to be like, that's top 20 worthy, you're stupid. Or, that game's not even top 100 worthy, you're an idiot. So that's going to be a fun, polarizing episode. But until then, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you follow through, and I'll see you next time. Bye.